The Pistons are the basketball champions of the world.
Detroit, it's time. It's playoff time, Detroit. Let's go to work.
Shout out Detroit. I got to buff up, you know what I'm saying? Detroit, I'm all the way in. Detroit Pistons, I'm all the way in. Let's do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Buffs On Podcast. We are the best POD in the 313, and we have actual Pistons news to talk about today. If you're watching this on YouTube and you look depressed, it's because I just saw the Tigers got their behinds kicked by Cleveland. So it's all right. We bounce back tomorrow, but we got Pistons news to talk about today. I'm going to hand it over to Gabe. Gabe, start us off with the guy that started off media day yesterday for the Pistons and some of the things that you took away from his words.
Yeah, Trajan Langdon, he kind of spoke as he's been speaking. I don't think there's a lot of change in the team as a whole, is just general development, and that's the message that he echoed over and over again. He's repeated what he said at the end of the year, that they didn't want to make any big swings. They want to trust these guys, that he said these guys have earned it to work together to improve, and that's like what they did all summer. He said they've been together, they've been working. People have been in the gym in multiple places across the country, across the world in some cases. That's really all he said. But he did mention specifically that Tom Gores has been in contact a lot with him, with the team, with the coach, that he has his full support with what's going on right now. So just continuing to have support from the top down of this organization. Just positive vibes. And then last thing he mentioned, I think that J.I. was completely healthy. He's been doing everything. He is game speed, game shape. So, yeah, that's it for him. You guys have anything else, or you want to just chime in on that?
Yeah, he said that everybody other than Kobe Jones was coming in fully healthy, which I really love to hear. I also thought that that guys were getting together to work out. Was kind of a sentiment that a lot of dudes were saying, and a couple of guys said that it's like an unusual amount. Like, a lot of times guys will go with their trainers or have their own stuff going on in the off season to get better. But apparently the Pistons were like really working a lot, not together and with the Pistons coaches, like actually just with the organization, like the whole time, um, working, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, for sure. It was nice. I mean, Trajan just stayed part of the course, didn't really say anything too out of the ordinary. I think he hinted at the fact that like somebody had asked him like, "Oh, you weren't able to bring some guys back," and he said, "It's not that we didn't want to bring everybody back." He just said that things didn't line up, and then he, of course, said that one of the players was under investigation. We all know who that was. So, I don't think he closed the door on it, but nothing to really read into for me for Trajan.
Yeah. Um, he did also keep that like par for the course, like Gabe said, letting the guys develop. And I thought that was interesting because a lot of national NBA podcasts are kind of coming back into swing now. And I've heard it on a couple different ones that people seem to really want Lowry Markkanen to come to the Pistons. One, because the Jazz are just useless and wasting his talents. He's never played a playoff minute. Um, and that he would be really a perfect fit. But Trajan still is, I don't know if it probably partially a negotiating tactic and partially just believing in this team, actually, just really staying the course with like our guys have deserved the chance to like continue what they're building here.
I
Yeah,
think an important distinction, he said not only that they want to see what they have here, I think with either him or JB or maybe both specifically said that these guys earned the right to like play this out and to like play together. So they have like so much trust in the players, that this is like it's just like it's the best vibes I've ever had going into a season. Not just like kind of false hope, but actual belief that top down everyone is precisely in sync and they all understand that, and what we feel is what they feel, that this is going to be a good team.
yeah, and I think he made a couple of comments just like kind of like solidifying the thought that we already kind of knew, which is this is Cade's team. So um, let's see how the season breaks out. But I like how he hasn't changed his message, wavered at all. This is internal development through and through, and just add some pieces around it.
Valley, anything to add, or should we move to JB?
I have a transition into Cade Cunningham based on what we're floating around right now. So let's go JB, and then I'd be happy to pitch in after.
Okay. I mean, JB, much the same, very positive. Connie, like you mentioned, he was very adamant that the guys were with the staff, with him, with other guys, assume Vince, with other, specifically Pistons employees. And he said that was very rare in the NBA, Connie, like you said as well. He had a quote. He said, "If we do our jobs right, you'll see all these guys are better." Because people did ask him who he thinks improved the most, and he said, "I'm very confident that we did our jobs right." So basically, him saying these guys are better and just very good. And then specifically he said, "Asar with the ball in his hands is a nightmare," which I just
Mm.
absolutely that quote.
That's a great quote. Yeah, and like Connie kind of hinted at earlier, like he did state that like a lot of guys just go and have their own thing, their own routine, their own trainers to work out with during the off season. But players were working with the organization so that they know their role, what they think they need to work on, and how to improve in that aspect. That way, it's more well aligned with the organization's goals and not personal goals. So that also stood out to me.
Yeah, a couple other things that he touched on. Um, he seemed really excited about I'm forgetting his name now. Karis LeVert. Karis LeVert coming
Mhm.
to the Pistons. He was really complimentary, not only calling him one of the best humans he's ever been around, but also praising his versatility in like you put him somewhere and he will do, what you require of him, which is like really uh honestly clears up a lot of my worries with Karis LeVert, who like obviously I'm not a fan of any of the teams he's been on, and I haven't seen that much Karis LeVert other than like when he plays the Pistons and like the other games that I watch from time to time. But one of the concerns was like he is a bucket getter. Is he going to be, a bucket getter that just gets buckets and kind of disregards other stuff? But he was really hitting the point that Karras does what the team needs him to do and will form him like will fit in ways that he can, right? He's fine coming off the bench. He'll do different things. Um, and he'll really, I think, be a nice gel piece for this team, like to bring things together. What else did he say? He talked about he was excited about playing Ivy and AT together at the wings and having the fastest wing combo in the NBA, which also got me excited. And the last thing he said that got me excited is he talked about lineup versatility and
Yeah.
specifically throwing out a lineup that is all 6'8", which is just something that we talked about earlier in the summer, like adding these two guys in. We all love THJ and Beasley, but Dunk and Karras are just larger and can kind of span more positions. And being able to throw out, we'll see, I think, more funny lineups this year, just mixing and matching guys that can do a lot of different things.
He specifically mentioned Stu and Duran playing together as well.
It gets
Oh,
me so excited. I think
Yeah.
I've advocated for that for a long time, and I don't want to get off topic, but Stu just shooting more threes, I think is a he calls it himself a weapon.
yeah, we'll
Yeah,
we'll
that's what
get to Stu. We'll get to
Get to
Stu.
him, but I just think that's so underutilized, and I think JB saying that in particular just really my ears perk, like my head turns when I hear that. We could see some more flexible lineups between the two of them.
Stu was actually the next guy up. So
yeah.
instead of saying we'll get to Stu, Val, you want to just keep going on that?
I guess why not? I mean, he attempted a second career low, so like second lowest ever, 0.73s a game last season on a just over 32% clip, as compared to the famous 23-24 year where he
Famous.
shot 3.83s a game, and shot at a pretty high level, I think around 37-38%. And that kind of just phased out over the years. So I think the fact that we're open to that and we're considering that again, I think is it was glaring to me that we weren't making the most of Stewart, especially as the five, as the backup five, using him as a spacer. I never really understood that. Obviously, big men have to roll. But his strength is not in the role, I would say, offensively. I think he's a very good catch and shoot player. Seeing him if he is off the bench as a five, seeing him just, it's not ideal. Throw him in the corner. Like I think that just spaces things out so much. You talk about the speed we have. You talk about Ivy and Asar potentially being on the wings. What does that mean? That also means there's another guard next to Cade. that's not Jaden Ivey. Having Stewart at the center position and having the ability and the flexibility to step outside and be outside, I think it's just going to open everything up. I think every single person on this roster, minus probably Asar and probably still Ron, have a threat to shoot and are respected as shooters. And I think we should really, really take buy into that more and buy into the 3-point shot more, in my opinion, in general. Um, I love Stu shooting it more though, and I love Stu at the four. I still think that is potentially like some of his best minutes come next to a big man.
Yeah, and Stu himself saying that he thinks he's going to be shooting a little bit more this season because I believe someone asked him like, "What'd you work on?" He talked about shooting, and they asked like, "You didn't get to shoot as much last year," and he said, "Definitely, I definitely want to start shooting more, and I think it's going to happen." So, for all of us doing the whole "let's do shoot," I think that's what we're going to get.
I think he also said that JB talked to him about
Hmm.
incorporating more threes into the offense from him. So it's not just him. It's like I said, everybody's in sync. We all understand, and JB knows as well. Anything else on Stu?
Yeah, I this is a Stu thing and a whole team thing, but he also said that the team, him, all had an urgency to keep winning,
Yeah.
right? This was a question that was asked to a couple of different people. Like, there are these teams that have great years and then kind of fall back into the regular holding pattern of being kind of bad when they start being hunted and when they start getting like a little bit of winning and think they're better than they are. But Stu was really adamant that this team is hungry. Like, they got a taste and they want more of it. There's like an urgency to continue competing and being better than they were and actually winning basketball games, which I love to see, because there is no reason that this team should take a slide backwards, with the guys that we have. And it is really all just continuing to push forward to be better.
That is always the biggest, or I guess has been the biggest concern or worry for me. Like over this long off season, when I just think about the expectations of the year ahead, it's like, why should we get better after we just tripled our win tally? Why should we have this growth? And then what it really all comes back to is the fact that, like we have Cade Cunningham, like we could potentially be good, and we have all these other people who play their role not only on the court but off it as well. You talk about mentality and everything you just said about Isaiah Stewart. It's absolutely there with him. I also think that a big part of that concern comes from having seen it. I remember the last time we won 44 games, reading a Bleacher Report article, or you guys telling me that they predict us to win 50 plus games. And obviously we all know what happened the year after that. So I think there is the natural concern of falling back down, but just it's a weird feeling having the reassurance of like we have Cade Cunningham, who is undoubtedly, a guy who wants to lead and wants to lead this team to victory. I have some quotes about that later on tied to the team working together over the summer. But I think it's like it's such a weird feeling and an obvious big concern to have. However, at the same time, I almost feel like the fear is somewhat irrational with the personnel we have on this team and everything they've shown to us so far.
Yeah.
And I
Um,
guess, sorry, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, I keep seeing I'm in my screen, man. That Tigers game's getting to you, isn't it?
It is. It really got to me. It got to me.
A couple things on Stu. I noticed he was like cheesing after everything he said. He could not stop himself from smiling, and he'd be like this, and then like try to stop smiling. He also said he worked a lot on his farm. Saw a lot of Instagram videos. Personally, I know when I got strong in ways I did not even imagine before, and I was not doing as hard. Like I was not in the Jamaican heat working like that. So I think he's gonna be just overall even stronger, which I think is I think if there's one thing overall from this media day, other than the positivity, is that guys are bigger, guys are stronger. They have been in the gym, and we'll get to that soon with some other guys. Next thing up for me is Sasser. You guys want to take the lead on him?
I could just talk about the big quote that's going around about how Sasser said that he watched guys like TJ McConnell, Drew Holiday, Andrew Nemhard over the offseason and really learned a lot from who he called DS, as we all know as Dennis Schroeder, and learning little tips and tricks to try to get under the offensive skin and just trying to improve his game. And as Connie pointed out before we started recording, how Marcus Sasser's kind of going a little TikTok crazy right now with guys showing that, Sasser has the ability to lose some defenders and get a shot off. So um, I don't know. I think a lot of us don't know what Marcus Sasser's role is going to be this season, but I'd say it's going to be a lot more of what we saw from last year. Like maybe if a guy goes down, Marcus Sasser gets a chance to step up. I forget the quote exactly, but he hinted at how he's worked at his playmaking ability and trying to be more efficient offensively.
To pick his
Which
spots is what he said.
what's that?
To pick his spots.
Yeah. So, I'm a little hesitant on that because I've been saying for a long time I don't see Marcus Sasser as a one at all. Like I see this guy as a two, as a bucket getter. I don't see him as a facilitator. So I'm hoping there's a lot more of shot creating and just getting buckets rather than trying to create for others for Marcus Sasser. But we'll have to wait and see in preseason how they utilize him. But the big thing, he's watched guys like TJ McConnell and Andrew Nebhard, Drew Holiday to try to improve his game.
Yeah, being a pest, I think could be the absolute best thing for his career. That is like small, skinny point guards, unless you're Damian Lillard, like you need that dog in you. And he has some dog in him, but like being the guy that's gonna pick up 94 is gonna like draw a charge at the midcourt and just like piss off the other team while also continuing to do the stuff that he does on the offensive end is what I think would lead him to be a guy that plays in the NBA for a while. Um, unless you're an elite ball shot creator for yourself and others at that size, you need to be bringing other stuff. And you know, you guys know I'm not people who listen to this know I'm not the biggest Sasser believer, but if that kind of stuff comes along, I can absolutely see Sasser having a long, successful NBA career.
I love the specific shout out, obviously to Dennis, but to TJ McConnell as well. I think just seeing everything that he did over this summer with Indiana's playoff run, if he can replicate a fraction of what TJ McConnell does, um, that would be fantastic. And it gets me excited a little bit about Sasser. I feel like we kind of knew what Sasser was as a player. He played four years in college, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 4 years in college. Obviously, he's been in, he's little bit got a little bit of experience under his belt in the NBA as well now. I think we kind of like know what he is in terms of what he does as a player, but I don't know. That's just him even saying this, I think adds another element to it that indicates there's a lot more to potentially come from Marcus Sasser. And I love the defensive aspect of it, just being a pest, being an annoying guy to play against. Is super exciting for me. And obviously I think from a 3-point shot, solely looking at threes, he's more of a threat than some of those guys listed, like Dennis Schroeder, like TJ McConnell, although they get him in a lot of other areas. I would love to see Marcus Sasser find his way to the rim more because he is very shifty. He is very quick, hence the reason why that TikTok video is going a little famous. Get to the rim more, get to your spots. On top of that, he still has that rock him side to side, rock him to sleep, knock down the three. I think he is a very good 3-point shooter, but I'd love to see him get to that hoop more like a TJ McConnell.
Does anybody have any notes on Javante Green while we're talking about being a pest on defense?
Yeah, I saw some video and I said, "Who is that guy?" And I said, "Oh, we got Javante Green."
He
Yeah,
was
That's all I got on him.
media day thing, right?
I didn't see him there, but he
Was
hadn't.
that
What was that?
my
I,
fault? Then I'm just saying I must have
I
seen someone else I thought was Javante Green.
Yeah. All I saw was I think it was who was it? I have the tweet here. Hunter Patterson. He said, "Ask Javante Green how much Detroit's appreciation for grittiness factored into his decision to coming here." And Javante said, "It's something I look forward to. Just being tough. If and I love this. If you can take somebody's soul or take them out of the game, that gives me happiness."
Sounds like wow, I'm blanking on names right now. Who's the Lions head coach?
Dan Campbell.
Sounds like Dan Campbell.
It does
Take
kind of
they
sound.
take their soul. That's a classic Dan Campbell thing to say.
So I'm excited. Again, another guy that I don't know what his role is gonna be, but if it is gonna be that guy that does like you were saying, pick up 94 feet, take that charge at center court, and just get under the other team's skin. Those guys are always a lot more fun to have on your team rather than playing against them.
All right, moving on then, Val. You wanted to talk about him earlier. Cade Cunningham came
Cool.
in there smiling, laughing, cracking some jokes, looking again, I think noticeably larger, more toned, more tan, I must say.
When in
And
Rome.
the usual stuff from him, everything you want to hear. Um, the main quote I got kind of like when he got asked, again, kind of the hunted versus the hunted, hunter versus the hunted. He said, "Yeah, we didn't accomplish anything, right? We won more games, but the goal is a championship, and that stuff is already past them. It's time for a new season, and there's nothing else for me to say. It's time for action." There's other great things I've written down, but Valley, what do you have to say about Cade?
Yeah, first and foremost, you touched on it, but every year he sits on that chair for media day, he just gets bigger and bigger, which which is good to see. I wonder if that'll ever slow down. But I did want to mention that his ambition is the championship. I think that it's almost weird to have the thought and the discussion of a championship. Certainly prior to last season, you're like, all right, show something first. We showed something. We won 44 basketball games last year. But as Kay said, that's not enough. I have a specific quote right here. We have no chance of going to get a championship without a year like last year, but there are more steps to be taken after that. Um, and I just want to reference back to the workouts we've been doing over the summer and how communal and how team focused it has been. Where Tobias Harris actually said that Cade was the one coordinating off-season workouts in like a multitude of location. And I just thought that was really exciting that Cade really is taking the initiative. I think that's why I earlier said that like there is a peace of mind knowing that like this theoretical drop off is not going to come because we have Cade Cunningham. He's organizing these workouts and getting every single Piston to come to these workouts, building that camaraderie earlier, building those new relationships with guys like Robinson and Levert, getting them into the system, getting them used to these guys. And I think the biggest plus we have over all 29 other teams is the genuine camaraderie that these individuals on our team have together. It really does have like a familial vibe to it. You know, it really is like they are all brothers because they've been through so much. I'm really excited to see what these vets will add to it, and I'm excited. I just wanted to specifically mention that Cade was out there organizing these summer runs, making sure we're all hooping, making sure that the whole team is hooping together.
Yeah. Cade, he said himself, his conditioning is more locked in. Fully healthy off season. And then they asked him, like they asked every guy, about who really got better, and he ended up naming a lot of guys and saying himself like he doesn't want to leave anybody off the list because everybody got better. But when he was saying it initially, I thought the three names came up first, and then sort of the rest of them rolled in, and those were Jaden Ivey, Ron, and Asar. Specifically on Asar, he said Asar's going to wake some people up this year,
Yeah, that's what it was.
which I thought was an awesome quote because I I agree, and no one's going to see it more than Cade Cunningham, right? Just hugely complimentary of his guys. Yeah, looks better. Bear attack scar on his arm is still there, though it's a little lighter. Um, yeah, just all good stuff. Looking like an absolute leader out there from Cade.
Yeah, can't, nothing really else to say. I mean, it was just very Cade Cunningham as presser. I think he's mixing in a little bit more of his personality, which is really nice. Like he was answering a question and he threw out some things that like together and like better, and he's like, "Oh, my bad, y'all. I rhymed. I didn't mean to do that." Like, I feel like he's letting himself loose a little bit more, which is always good to see from not just, a player, but from just a person as he continues to grow. But um, no issues from anything I heard from Cade Cunningham.
No issues from anybody,
Yeah.
top down. One more thing on Cade, he said he was talking to Carmelo Anthony for
Yes.
our viewers. that trying to get a workout together, but they couldn't make the schedules work. But he did say he worked with some other guys, but he didn't want to say who. Just respect from him. I can't, I can imagine like Cade, they've been close before. I don't want to speculate on guys, but you can assume that it's the cream of the crop, guys who respect a person who just wants to get better and just loves basketball. Anything else on Cade, guys?
Just the fact that that was in response to the question of a reporter asking that there have been reports of Melo and Rondo willing to work with him, and if he did actually pursue those opportunities. So it's nice to know that not sometimes they're not just rumors; those are things that actually could and did happen.
Yeah. And so next guy that came on was one of the new people, Duncan Robinson. I didn't really get anything new from him. He did say that there's a general, like, once again, like, there's a really fun locker room coming from Miami where it was not always fun. Basically, the message that he gave, and then just wanting to work with Stu and JD specifically, like, to use their screens, to use those kind of BAM DHOs, throwing the lobs when they're there. So he's already getting mixed in. It sounded more like those two bigs were coming to him, telling them like, yeah, we're here to like sacrifice our bodies to get you open looks, which was awesome to hear. Anything else on Duncan Robinson?
Just the fact that he said that like in pickup games, Stu will come up to him afterwards and said yell at him because he's not using his screens enough. So just shows you how much Stu is willing to do for his teammates in pickup games, not just in NBA games.
That's just so great to hear. I don't know, just everything about this media day. I haven't been exposed to it as much as I would have liked to. Everything about it just makes me just grin ear to ear. Specifically what you just said. And just specifically thinking about how excited Robinson is solely to come off screens. I know it's a big part of his game, but specifically mentioning that, I think it's just really, really exciting. Connor, you look ready to say something.
Oh yeah, I actually really like Dunk. Seemed more willing to talk, or is just more of a talker than a lot of other guys. I thought he gave him some nice answers. But yeah, you guys covered a lot of it. He's never played with guys as willing to screen as JD and Stu. And then another thing he said was, well, along with that, the culture just seems great. Like not only he said we have a good combination of not only like good times, people liking each other, enjoying like the company, but also like an incredible willingness to work. And he said a lot of different guys are coming up to him and asking him how they can get better, and coming to him for advice. And he seems like to fit in right with the types of vets that we had last year, like just dudes that are there to improve the team around them. I think he's going to fit in great, and I'm really excited for this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously well spoken, but I just think that he provides like a personality type I didn't really know he had. I don't know Duncan Robinson's personality type very well, but I just think that from what I've seen in the brief clips of the podcast over the summer he did and media day, it just seems like a really great guy to have in this locker room. And I'm really excited about his veteran mentorship to this squad. Could he be not better, let's say more effective than Beasley in terms of his overall 3-point gravitation, like the defense that goes to him and the output? Like I just get really excited about him coming off Isaiah Stewart screens and just being unconscious.
I'm excited for not only that, but like what he's gonna do in like two-man games with Jalen Duren, because there might be a pass that Beasley may not have been able to make, but I feel like Duncan Robinson is going to be able to make those plays. So like it's not just a 3-point shooting I'm excited about with Duncan Robinson. I'm excited about the other aspects that he's gonna bring with like just playing off of and with Duren and Stu. Not just the screen setting and the shooting, but like the playmaking aspect too.
I feel like Duncan Robinson would murder us when both players would go up on the screen that he's curling off of, and he jumps off that pass to Bam. I'm excited about Jalen Duren being in that situation where he's shown time and time again he's really good at making that pass after catching that pass. Great point. I'm excited about that.